Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Pop Watermelon Podcast. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is J. Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. And we are about to talk about the king of pop and one of the biggest moments in pop culture history.
That's right. But before we do that, J. Ray, are you excited for the biopic for the movie?
You know what? Actually, I am now. So I like documentaries, don't love biopics, because I often find that biopics, child, especially after the last Michael Jackson biopic, I was just like, you know what? I'm good.
Was it really a biopic? Because it wasn't in theaters. It was on No Shade to VH1, but
no shade to them. But
they did play in our faces though.
They did. Shout out to Flex Alexander for getting that check.
Oh, shout out to Flex Alexander and that foolishness. Who was recently in a Tubi movie that's supposed to be hot and steamy. But anyway, aside from that,
yes,
the biopic is coming. And I just recently saw MJ the Musical, took my mom to see that for her birthday. So Michael Jackson is just, bubbling in my soul. And we are discussing what is inarguably your favorite Michael Jackson album.
Second favorite.
I thought it was your favorite.
No, second favorite. Off the Wall is definitely my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Dangerous is number 2 though.
Dangerous. Yeah. Okay. So let's hit it. Let's talk about Dangerous. There was so much fanfare around this album. He truly had a lot to prove. Would you say that? It's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Dangerous, in the time in between Bad and Dangerous, Michael Jackson stopped working with Quincy Jones. And that relationship, of course, shepherded the biggest selling album of all time in Thriller, but also gave Michael Jackson Off the Wall and gave him Bad, and really solidified Michael Jackson as a force to be reckoned with as a solo act, made him like huge, like he was otherworldly. And then the 90s were different though. So couple of things that are really interesting that I think happened. Of course, there was the rise of Madonna. That made a big difference. But then you had like Michael Jackson made way for the possibility for like huge pop stars. So you have Madonna, you have George Michael, you have Tina Turner, who is literally on fire all over the world. And even by 1991, when Dangerous comes out, Michael's little sister, Janet, has had 2 classic albums under her belt. And Rhythm Nation has been a tour now, and it's a whole new world. So there was a lot to prove with Dangerous, and Michael definitely wanted more control. But he also wanted to come into the 90s with the sound of the era, and we love this sound.
And I think you're talking about New Jack Swing, of course. And if you're gonna get some authentic New Jack Swing, you got to go directly to the chef that is popping the most at that moment, and that of course is Teddy Riley. And immediately from the beginning, we notice that Michael is like, okay, this is a fresh new sound for Michael. It sounds modern. It sounds hip. And then we're all kind of like, what is going on here? Why does it sound like this? Why is it so good? Teddy Riley is helping to produce it. Yeah. But aside from riding the wave of a fresh new sound, I think there were several events around this album that added to the mythology of it and added to the boost that it felt, to the excitement around the album. And we're going to explore that just a little bit. So there are several events around this album, J-Ray, that catapult this record into the atmosphere. It builds up the mythology behind it. It really literally turns this album into a primetime event. And one of those things, of course, are the music videos associated with this album. And it felt, if I could remember correctly, it felt like each video release was a primetime network affair. an event.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think Michael referred to these as like mini movies by this point or whatever. So Michael Jackson, especially coming out of Thriller, you know, all of these videos. Remember when Bad came out and it was on like ABC, like we could just watch it. So same thing with when Black or White showed up. Now I'm gonna tell you what's interesting about Black or White showing up, and I think what Michael did with Dangerous is he was teasing stuff to radio at the time. So R&B radio, I think, had picked up Jam as like a song that it was kind of like a teaser little single. So I was like, yo, this is crazy that Michael Jackson is doing this, right? With Heavy D, you know, doing a rap and all of that stuff, right? But then, so the first single that we officially get, the first official single is, of course, Black and White. And I don't remember which network that premiered on, but it was a whole event. So you have Macaulay Culkin in the video. I think Slash is in the video. There's like guitars and the whole thing. And Michael standing on the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
with tape on the fingers.
There's also a little known supermodel.
Yes.
By the name of Tyra Banks.
Being so extra.
May have heard of. Being extra, which is, you know, you're not Tyra Banks if you're not being extra.
Yeah, but you know, so we get this music video that is this is what I consider to be Michael Jackson's final form. So if we had any inkling of who Michael Jackson was going to be as an artist, I think Black or White encompasses all of it, where it's like multicultural in this way that is undeniable, but gives Michael Jackson kind of this international gravitas. And I think Black or White really does encompass that. But Sir Daniel, and I know you remember this, the controversy though. So the video goes fine. There's a Macaulay Culkin, there's a music video, there's a Tyra Banks, and there's morphing. It actually has some really cool technology because it has the morphing technology that is new. But then Michael, because he's Michael Jackson and he's also extra, has a whole ending of this music video that involves cars and breaking of windows,
which got people's panties in a big knot for whatever reason. They were just so appalled and so shocked by the violence of the video. Now, I think we have to put into context that even though Michael Jackson is the king of pop, and you know this sounds like a really nice universal theme for this record, but Michael Jackson is severely disturbed by a lot of racial violence that has been happening in our country, and so I think Michael reacting or having a place to display his anger triggered America, because they think, oh, this is cute little Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is fun, and he likes to ride the boogie, and he's here to entertain us and make us smile. No, I believe Michael Jackson is also pissed. As a black man in the United States is also pissed. And you're gonna feel a little bit of that. You're gonna feel a little bit of that.
You know what? Thank you for bringing that to bear. I think that's like really important too. I think we often, Michael made it hard to forget that he was also concerned with what was happening in the world. So every record, especially post Thriller, kind of included some nod to what was happening, you know what I'm saying, in the world. So we get Heal the World. This is also post We Are the World that Michael Jackson co-wrote with Lionel Richie. So we get Heal the World on this album. So Michael Jackson gets that his voice can be used in this very special way. But to that point, so we Black or White comes out and is number one single. It actually debuts at number one. It spends 4 weeks at number one, but something magical happens by single number two, and it is one of those singles that if you want to get Black folks doing choreography from all generations, we got to talk about Remember the Time. And this music video was so special.
Remember the Time was, like I said before, was an event.
Yeah.
That was an event. If I want to say it world premiered on Fox.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
It might have world premiered on Fox. And I just remember, as a matter of fact, it world premiered on a Sunday night. I think it was during In Living Color, because I remember that being the talk of first period, of homeroom and first period the next day at school. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you didn't see that video, you missed out. People were already trying to copy the dance moves. Mm-hmm. I know that specifically here in Atlanta, a lot of us were geeked because Michael Jackson and Fatima, of course, Fatima, is her last name Robinson?
Robinson. Yeah,
Robinson, so. Fatima Robinson incorporated the Bart Simpson into the choreography, which was a dance that, when I tell you, the kids here in Atlanta had adopted that dance, and it was everywhere. Mm-hmm. So it was just so exciting to see all the fly girls, because there were all the fly girls from Living Color were in this video as well. It was star-studded, Jerry. You had Eddie Murphy, Iman, Magic Johnson.
Yep.
Who else was in? Who else was in the movie?
Who else was in?
Remember the movie.
The movie. No.
It
but
was
to that
almost
point,
like a movie.
It was literally like a mini movie. So you get this ancient Egyptian idea, and so Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson totally friends, right? And Eddie had already, of course, played royalty in Coming to America.
Yep.
And you get Eddie Murphy as the king, and Iman as the queen. This is and so Remember the Time also reminds, while Black or White is squarely, like I said, Michael Jackson, final form, international superstar, Remember the Time also reminds us that Michael Jackson's Black. Yes. Even though his complexion looks really different, Michael Jackson is Black, and this is a Black music video with Black stars and Black dancers. And Michael is literally doing the Bart Simpson. Michael Jackson is doing these dances that we do, and it felt like, yo.
But you know what I want to bring to your attention, Jerry? This also, there was a moment in the video which caused a lot of conversation as well.
Yeah, it did.
Michael Jackson's infamous on-screen kiss.
He did,
with Iman. And I'm trying to think back. I don't think, did he not kiss in any of his previous videos? Because he always had like a leading lady.
Maybe in the way you make I was going to say
the pretty lady with the high heels on.
Yeah.
Didn't they kiss at all?
I think.
Or what about Ola in Thriller?
Yeah, they didn't kiss in Thriller, but I do think, but this was a big deal though.
And people lost their minds. People was like, shucks, Michael growing some hair on his chest, and that's a whole nother conversation about Michael Jackson and his relationship to masculinity.
Yes.
Through the American male lens is a different conversation. But yeah, that video was truly the talk of the town.
Which I will say, like I said at the beginning, I think Remember the Time encompasses why this record is so dope. It Black or White in connection with Remember the Time encompasses why the record is so dope. So half of the record you get Teddy Riley and the New Jack Swing era, and then the other half I think Bill Bottrell or Bruce Swedien. Yeah, Bill Bottrell did Black or White along with Teddy and Michael, but Bruce Swedien did like most of the other half of the album as well. So you get this kind of amalgamation of classic Michael and then Michael situated in what's happening in Black culture now. And for better or for worse, I think that while it allowed Michael Jackson to continue his ascent, in his superstardom, right? This album also, I think, made everything after it really difficult. So Dangerous, for all intents and purposes, is kind of the culmination of Michael Jackson's classic period. So if we're talking about Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, and then Dangerous, this is kind of the end. And what unfortunately happens, one, we get all these great singles. Let me just run off the singles and then we'll talk about what happens after. In the Closet. Jam.
Underrated.
Yeah. So In the Closet, you mentioned this to me. You were like, listen, when I get to put a set up, I'm going to put In the Closet in the set. What is it about that song?
I will put up In the Closet next to Remember the Time, before Remember the Time, every time. And I know that that's the DJ thing to go to, but In the Closet is a bop. And there's a specific remix on there that is just, it's kind of just Michael riding a breakbeat, riding the breakbeat of, I think, is it Funky Drummer? No, it's not Funky Drummer, but it's one of the break beats that is very synonymous with New Jack Swing. And he's just riding that beat, singing. And of course we get the whisper, the whisper of who I found out was the Princess of Monaco, was actually the young lady behind that voice. But yeah, it's just a little funkier to me. And yeah, I'm just like that. If there are like 100 people playing Remember the Time, I'm going to be one of the 5 people playing Keep It in the Closet because it was just that dope. And then you had a dope video with Naomi Campbell in it.
Absolutely. Once again, Michael Jackson was definitely pulling out the Black models for this whole album. So you get Iman, you get Naomi Campbell.
He's doing his Tyra. He's leaning on sex a lot more too in this album.
Yeah, definitely very sensual. But yes, In the Closet, you get Jam. Who Is It? Heal the World, Give In to Me, Will You Be There, Gone Too Soon. There was 9 singles for this record. This record had how many songs on it? So 14 songs, only 5 of those songs weren't singles. They rode this record out until like 1993. So the Dangerous tour, which grossed over like $100 million or something crazy. They rode this record out for a couple of years, which is what you did back then. Like if you released a record, you had 2 or 3 years to ride that record out, which we cannot do today. But so that brings us to, I think, a really, I think, pivotal moment is Dangerous also marks the point where Michael Jackson's career kind of derails because all of the personal stuff that begins to happen around Michael Jackson, which is a whole other conversation that we just don't have time to spend on here. But I enjoyed, so the record that came after this was History, which showed up in 95. Because Michael was all big on a 4-year break.
Yes.
I also wonder, and I don't know if anybody knows this, let us know in the comments if you do, if at some point if Michael's team was like, we're going to alternate off of Janet years. So, you know what I'm saying? So if Janet got something coming in, if she got something coming in 89, we're going to give it a couple of years. So we'll come in 91. Because then Janet came in 93. And then Michael came back in 95. So I'm like, I wonder if her team figured out, or their teams figured out, like, no, we need to like alternate these years because
You know what? That's actually a sound theory. It makes sense. It's like, oh, we can rule the world. We'll
Right.
continue the Jackson name will reign on these charts, regardless if it's you or me. And and I think that they were each other's favorite siblings.
Yeah.
Or best sibling friends. So that makes total sense. I wouldn't be surprised if that was an actual tactic. And I also want to point out that what I learned from the Broadway musical was that this album and this tour, he had a lot riding on this. I mean, financially putting up his own properties to finance this tour, specifically the tour, because he wanted it to be the most amazing thing that had ever happened, which he achieved.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people say this and it sounds really hyperbolic, but it's the truth. There was never another human being that could stand before millions all gathered in one place and not have to say a word.
Yeah.
But to have them completely losing it.
Yeah.
Screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
Ambulances are loading up people that are fainting by the 5s and 10s at a time, just fainting, and he hasn't uttered a word. He's just standing there. And you can't even see his eyes because of his reflective aviator
glasses.
And he's just standing there with his epaulets and just that's power. And I think that made a lot of people nervous, but that's part of that other part of the story that we're going to leave, because there's plenty of people that will pontificate about that.
Yeah. I love that so much. I think Dangerous holds up as a record, as a collective body of work. Speaking of, before we wrap up today's show too, I do think by the time Dangerous is released, Michael is now living in Neverland. Michael is incorporating that kind of circus idea into the cover, where it's like a amusement park thing, which he had started kind of coming out with Leave Me Alone. You saw a lot of that coming into that, but you see it really kind of pronounced as he shows up in Dangerous, and pieces of Michael's eye or Michael's curl that's kind of coming down his face. But Michael Jackson was a fashion icon. There were literally people that were like trying to mimic these looks. He was a dancing icon where there were people doing the dances. And to your point about the tour, like, this man probably had to lose 10 pounds every night going on stage, because
he's not a big man to begin with.
He's not a big man to begin with, right? I never had the opportunity to see Michael Jackson live, but I can't even fathom what that would be like, because you're right. We would see the videos of the people just like screaming, passed out, not because something happened to them, but because they were so overwhelmed by this man,
by his presence,
mere presence. Super duper star. Dangerous is a bop. Y'all should go play it. It is the 35th anniversary of this record. And I'm sure with the Teddy Riley book that's coming out, I'm sure he has stuff
Michael
about
Jackson
Dangerous.
stories. Absolutely.
Yeah, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with Q Points. If you can see our faces and hear our voices, subscribe wherever you are. Tell your friends, tell your family about the show. If you like it, chances are they will as well. You can support Q Points. So you can support us by subscribing, but you can also support us financially by becoming a member. Being able to keep the lights on in Q Points land, being able to keep these recordings going and keep us doing the thing is really important. And we can only do that with your support. So you can do that on our website at qpoints.com. You can also Yes, as DJ Sir Daniel does his choreography, you can also visit our website, listen to all of our old episodes, shop our store at store.qpoints.com, and visit us on Substack, where we have some dope stuff there. We also have a great video on Michael Jackson as well. I think we did a Michael Jackson's top videos or something. We did a whole thing on Michael Jackson. Go check out that show as well, because that's super funny. It's super dope, but there's a funny moment in it where we talk about, you know, Michael Jackson, like being a Jehovah's Witness and like knocking on people's doors in the 80s. It's great times. Go listen to that show too.
That's right. We thank you once again for joining us. As I say during every episode, in this life, you have a choice. You could either pick up the needle or you could let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
My name is J Ray, y'all.
Peace. And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round.
Peace, y'all.